Today, we're soft launching Rihanna's comeback into music, doing Madonna cosplay with Vogue US, and getting donuts with W Magazine. My name is Marco, welcome to the Model Gene, and if you're ready to dissect this month's covers, hit that like button and let's get started on March's Battle of the Covers. Starting off with Vogue US, we have Sabrina Carpenter by Stephen Meisel, and I have a big problem with this creative direction. She looks gorgeous, but in this cover and the editorial, they were clearly inspired by Madonna, referencing Stephen Meisel's early work with her, and you can see by this exchange on Instagram that I'm not reaching here. Sabrina has that perfect pop star crafted look already, to where you could easily dress up as her for Halloween with a heavy curtain bang and a mini dress with platform thigh-high boots, in the same way that you could with Ariana, Gaga, Madonna, etc. For her first Vogue cover, it should have been the Sabrina Carpenter look turned up to 100, not her as Madonna as Marilyn. Beyond that, we have a very Meiselian retouching across the image, like the neck that has no lines, an armpit that is lacking anatomy. I think Sabrina has staying power, so hopefully she will have other opportunities to really show off her own identity on a Vogue cover. Ariana Grande is on the cover of Vogue Italia by Elizaveta Porodina. The pose is good, the cover is interesting at least, but I need someone to be honest with Ariana and let her know that she would benefit from some lower lashes, not just the strip lashes on her upper lid. I prefer Elizaveta's work when the skin is more cool-toned rather than this citrine that we have here, but this is not a bad cover. Kyla covers British Vogue by Rafael Pavarroti, and it is wild how much retouching on her face he thought was necessary. The colors all work here, although I don't think that the flat cobalt background looks very expensive. The hair is nice, her body looks great, an acceptable cover, but not excellent. Laísa de Moura covers Vogue Portugal. It's cute for a campaign image, but I don't love it for the cover. The part of the G over her tooth is perhaps an homage to that dead stained tooth smokers get, but I don't love it or this crop right at her nostrils. Vogue Portugal is normally at the top of my favorites every month, but not this March. Zhaoyi Zhang covers Vogue China, and photographer Yu Song did a fantastic job here. The motion blur on her hair gives the photo a more casual feeling, and the model's face is immaculate. This is my favorite cover of the month. There isn't a very strong narrative through line in the editorial, but I absolutely love the imagery. This jumping photo reminds me of these pants by Kansai Yamamoto. This blue look is fantastic as well, maybe even my preferred photo for a cover. Du Juan covers Harper's Bazaar China, and although I like the shapes her body is making, I'm not a big fan of this cover. My biggest issue is her arm leaning on the C-stand, which obviously couldn't support her weight if she was actually leaning on it. The inclusion of something unnecessary and false like this already makes me a bit turned off, but across the image, there's no narrative, it is just a model in some random, disjointed articles of clothing. From the cover, I know nothing of this woman, where she is going, and I want a story. Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco cover Interview magazine, and I think the photo is actually charming. They are really leaning into the Beauty and the Beast storyline in the editorial. This shot looks like the casting of every 90s sitcom couple, but for the cover, I would have loved to see him with his hair slicked back. I like the interlocked fingers, the black and white suits, but especially with that super lined up facial hair, they could have pushed him out of his signature messy curly look. Rihanna covers Harper's Bazaar, and if this pose looks familiar, it is a recreation of Rihanna by Annie Leibovitz for Vogue, which is a recreation of Demi Moore by Annie Leibovitz for Vanity Fair. Hopefully the new album is going to be more interesting than this cover. Lulu Tenny's Harper's Bazaar France cover is cute. I like the movement in her hair, but I wish her body also carried this curving shape. We have one hand missing, one with knuckles forward, and both feet pointed at the camera, and slight adjustments here would have made this a stronger cover. These blush tones are nice, but the dress looks sloppy here. Anakiai's covers of Harper's Bazaar Italia are the better ones of the bunch, but I still don't care for them. There's no energy in this photo, and despite her undeniable beauty, there's nothing kinetic here. In the cover of Noor Khan and Ned Sims, it looks like he is getting a handy. Not sure why a father is photographing his son like this, but her arm is overwhelming the image. Not a fan of this. Anya Taylor-Joy covers Vogue España. Not crazy about this cover. Her super light hair, light skin, white background make your eye get directed to the dark parts of the image, which in this case is this cutout on her side with the black piping. Is this section of flesh something you want to highlight on a cover? I also wish we had more highlights on her face, because like this, we don't have strong shadows or strong whites. Gal Gadot covers Harper's Bazaar España, and the three images are competing for which is worse. I guess the portrait is the least offensive, but when you zoom out, dear Lord, this is terrible. Look at the line under her chin where her face is so much brighter than her neck. I think the makeup artist needs to be brought to the Hague Tribunal for these crimes. Even her stance on the cover is so lifeless, this has to be my least favorite cover of the month. Mona Tugard covers De la Repubblica, and as much as I love her, this is not my favorite cover of hers. Model-turned-photographer Malick Bodian chose a lighting setup that in almost all of the photos makes one side of her face look heavy and lopsided. The worst is in this picture, but that is also why this black and white image is the most beautiful of the bunch. With her head turned a few degrees, the light hits her face much more evenly, better showing off her moneymaker. This would be my pick for the cover, but let me know in the comments what you think. For Le Monde, we have Angelina Kendall in red by Anthony Seklaoui, and then we have another series by Roman Galiegue. Angelina's outdoor covers are very middle of the road. I like this studio shot the most, but I think this is one instance where a longer nail would have been appropriate, echoing the angles in the shoe and the sunglasses. For Roman's covers, I like this group shot the most, and I'm not sure if the inspiration was intended, but it reminds me of Deborah Tourbeville's bathhouse swimwear story from the May 1975 issue of Vogue US. The other group shot has a really interesting composition of subjects, but I'm partial to a location shoot where the space enriches the photo. The black and white covers are my least favorite from Le Monde this month. They aren't bad, just not as interesting as the color images. V magazine has 10 covers by Inez and Vinoodh, 9 models, and 1 of Lisa Rinna's daughter. My favorite is of Iman Hammam. She's conveying the most emotion from the bunch, and the photo looks timeless. My second favorite is of Sydney Watts. This hair works perfectly with her face and wide-eyed expression. Besides that garbage Nepo trash cover, I hate how on Alex Consani's cover, they have the V a little bit faded to expose whatever's on her belly button. They don't do it on any of the other 10 covers, and it looks poorly executed. NUMÉRO magazine shows the skill of Brigitte Niedermair, because not many people can take the amazing artistry of these haute couture dresses and produce something so uninteresting, so uninspired, so deeply forgettable. Most of the detail is lost with the background, and I really hate these covers. I am pleading for the magazine to stop working with this photographer. Rejoice Chewol's cover is so much more interesting and beautiful. I wonder why the magazine bothers printing those other 2 garbage covers when you have something way more dynamic and intriguing here. The highlights on the wig are really beautiful. The jewelry looks great on her. I just would have liked a bit more of a sparkle in her eyes, something seductive rather than blasé. Ashraf Hakimi and Iman Hammam cover Vogue Arabia, and if I'm going to see a male celebrity on a Vogue cover, this is how you do it, balanced by a gorgeous supermodel. Even though he is the feature of the cover, her inclusion changes the mood to something more playful. You have her effervescence to counter his stoicism. Aman's solo cover is too basic. The red background makes me think of an Express campaign 20 years ago, but you cannot deny the beauty of her face. Adriana Lima is on 2 covers of Vogue Brazil, and I don't mind either of them. I prefer this portrait. There's something about the cleanliness and depth of this image that makes me think of the work of Irving Penn and fashion editor Phyllis Posnick. Often with studio lighting, many photographers tend to make everything super high contrast, but I like how here there is a richness to the skin and the highlights from these rim lights on the side of her face. I preferred last month's cover of Vogue Brazil, but these aren't bad. Haley Steinfeld covers Vogue Philippines, and after the incredible cover they had last month, this falls flat in comparison. I don't like the wet hair look when paired with so much eyeshadow, and it speaks to the overall issues I have with the cover. What story are they trying to sell here? Gelled wet hair, full beat, super short coat with sandals, concrete wall. None of this is connecting. Hopefully for April, we'll go back to shooting incredible models from the Philippines rather than a sort of famous-ish actress whose grandfather was half Filipino. Rachel Zegler covers Vogue Mexico, and these covers are way too boring. I know the internet loves to hate her, but it looks like photographers Inez and Vinoodh hate her too after these lame, uninspired covers. This looks like a test shoot. This zebra rug is pulling focus, and I don't care if the t-shirt is Miu Miu, it is a terrible choice for a cover. Vogue India, this cover is for March and April, and you think this is good enough for 2 months? For some context, this is how Ananya looks when she isn't being brutalized by the team at Vogue India. The styling in the cover is bad, the hair is worse, so I really hope for something better next month. Emilia Schul covers Vogue Germany, and this hurts my eyes. This very conservative white dress is overexposed, so we lose the detail, and all the attention goes to the paint smears in the background. What about this look corresponds to this painted background? Vogue Germany, this is a fail for March. Vogue Ukraine has 4 covers featuring models Yura, Vika, and Karina, and I think they did a good job on selling a mood and an attitude. For the group shot, the one part that bothers me is the bottom corner in shadow. If they just moved the models over a bit into the sun, or even used a reflector to bounce some light here, I think it would have looked better. But I like the lines that their bodies are making. Vika has my favorite of the solo covers. I like how the bend of the street is leading your eye through the image. Her white knee-high socks with these shorts, it is all conveying a coolness and rebelliousness. Yura's cover is the most documentarian, doesn't even feel like a fashion shoot, but could be a girl on the street, unforced and unbothered. Karina's cover is the most styled, from her hair to the stripes of her socks and shorts, but there is a timeless quality that I like because you can't really tell when this photo was taken. W Magazine has Timothée Chalamet, Mikey Madison, Hoyan, and Ayo Edebiri for their director's issue. The shot of Timmy looks like something an influencer would post from a trendy New York City hotel. I hate how his legs are cropped here. Not my favorite. The cover of Mikey Madison and Hoyan is really cute. I love the pink pastels of their looks, echoing the donut shop boxes. This feels the most fashion editorial of the covers. Ayo Edebiri's cover is also not my favorite. I don't like how much of the inner lining we are seeing of this Gucci look, and it all falls very flat energetically. I do have to take a second to highlight this editorial from the magazine. These shots of Mona Tugard are so visually rich, especially this one that is bursting with pattern and color. I'm normally not a maximalist, but I think this is fantastic and exciting to see in a magazine like W. Michael B. Jordan covers GQ, and no, you are not experiencing deja vu. It is simply that photographer Jack Bridgeland has done this photo over and over again. Although this style of photography doesn't excite me, this image is well composed. I like the icy tones of his clothes, jewelry, and teeth against his skin, and his face is not over-retouched. The more I look at this, the more I see Nick Cannon, so it's probably best if I look away now. And that is where today's review is going to end. But for more about the fashion industry, check out the links below. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the covers this month, and be sure to subscribe to find out who comes out on top next month in the battle of the covers.